Captain Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Council's viewing chamber, her crisp Earth Defense Force uniform reflecting the soft blue light. The circular room towered above her, filled with representatives from 50 spacefaring civilizations. Their compound eyes and sensory appendages all focused on the demonstration area where 3 combat drones hovered. Earth's military training emphasizes adaptability, she explained, her voice clear through the universal translator. Allow me to demonstrate our standard close-quarters combat techniques. The drones activated, their shields humming to life. Sarah's hand moved to her standard-issue stun baton, and that's when it happened. She smiled. Not a diplomatic smile, but the confident grin of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The council chamber erupted in chaos. The Viridian ambassador's chromatophores flashed warning colors. The Arcturus delegation retreated behind their environmental shields. Even the usually stoic Centaurian representative's tendrils coiled in distress. Sarah maintained her stance, confused but professional, as the drone circled her. When they attacked, she moved with practiced efficiency. The first drone went down with a precise strike to its sensor array. The second, she disabled with an electromagnetic pulse from her baton. The third required a more acrobatic approach. She vaulted over it, using its own momentum to crash it into the chamber floor. Time elapsed. 15 seconds. Standard course completion. The silence that followed was deafening. The human bared its bone structures during combat. The Viridian ambassador's translator crackled. This is unprecedented aggression. With respect, Ambassador, Sarah interjected. This is a normal human expression. It indicates confidence, sometimes pleasure. Pleasure. During combat. The Arcturian representative's translator struggled to convey their horror. You find joy in violence. Dr. Marcus Wong, Earth's chief xenopsychologist, stepped forward from the observation area. There seems to be a cultural misunderstanding. Human facial expressions. We have observed your species in other contexts, the Centaurian representative interrupted. This particular display of teeth appears exclusively during confrontation. Your historical records show it before battles, during training, even in your combat imagery. Sarah exchanged glances with Dr. Wong. How could they explain thousands of years of human psychological evolution? That a smile could be both a warning and a comfort. That humans had turned the predator's threat display into something more. A sign of confidence, of camaraderie, of the absolute certainty that they would prevail. The Council will need time to evaluate this. Development, the head speaker announced. Humanity's military integration program will be suspended pending further review. As the chamber emptied, Sarah stood her ground. The now disabled drones scattered around her. A junior Viridian diplomat lingered, their colors shifting in what she recognized as curiosity. Is it true? They asked quietly. That your species can find positive emotions in moments of challenge. Sarah smiled again, gentler this time. It's not about enjoying the fight. It's about knowing who you are and what you can do. Sometimes, that knowledge brings joy. The diplomat's colors shifted to a pattern Sarah had never seen before. They left quickly, but she noticed them glancing back with what looked like fascination rather than fear. Dr. Wong approached her, datapad in hand. Well, Captain, it seems we've given the galaxy something new to think about. Should I have maintained a neutral expression? No, he replied, making notes. They needed to see us as we are. The question is the galaxy ready for a species that grins in the face of chaos? The Viridian observation post hung silent in high orbit above Europa. Inside, Commander Kelth watched the human rescue operation through enhanced sensors, their chromatophores shifting between shades of analytical blue and concerned purple. They're doing it again, Kelth noted, as the human squad breached the damaged research station below. Lieutenant Zira adjusted the audio feed. Through it came the clear sound of human laughter, punctuated by what their xenolinguists had identified as jokes during a combat operation. Third Squad, we've got hostiles on the port side, came the voice of Surgeon Maya Patil. "Hey Williams, remember that time in Mars training when you got stuck in the airlock?" "Not the time, Sarge," Williams replied, but there was unmistakable amusement in his voice as plasma fire lit up the corridor. Kelth's skin rippled with distress patterns. How can they maintain such casual communication during crisis conditions? The humans moved with practiced efficiency through the station. The raiders who had taken control of the facility found themselves systematically outmaneuvered by forces who seemed to be treating the operation like a social gathering. "Jackson, breach and clear," Patel ordered. "And try not to trip this time." "That was one time, Sarge. One time." The squad's laughter echoed through the feed as they breached the door, neutralized 3 raiders, and secured the hostages without missing a beat. "See, smooth as silk," Jackson quipped. Zira's colors had shifted to a deep shade of fascination. "Commander, I've been studying their combat footage. This behavior appears to serve multiple functions. It maintains unit cohesion, reduces stress, and, most remarkably, seems to unnerve their opponents." On the feed, the raiders' communications had grown increasingly frantic. "These humans are insane. They're treating this like a game." "Not a game," Patel's voice cut through the chatter. "Just another day at the office. Williams got those civilians secured. Safe and sound. Sarge." One of them asked if we're always this cheerful. I told them you're usually grumpier. More laughter, more precise movements, more successful room clearances. Kelth began composing their report to High Command. How could they explain that humanity's most unsettling weapon wasn't their technology, but their ability to find lightness in darkness? The operation concluded in 23 minutes, 0 civilian casualties, all raiders apprehended. And through it all, the humans never stopped their banter. During the debriefing, Kelth approached Sergeant Patel. "Your squad's behavior is unusual by galactic standards." Patel's expression shifted to what Kelth had learned was a grin. "With respect, Commander, we find your solemnity unusual. In tough situations, you need your team to stay loose, stay focused. Sometimes a good laugh is the difference between life and death. But the danger is exactly why we joke," Patel finished. "We respect the danger. We just refuse to let it control us." As the humans departed, Zira turned to their commander. "Should we include this in the psychological warfare section of our report?" Kelth's colors shifted to contemplative green. "Include it in every section. The galaxy needs to understand. We're not just dealing with warriors. We're dealing with warriors who have mastered their fear so completely they can laugh in its face." Private James Rodriguez wasn't supposed to be a hero. He was just manning the security station at Titan's methane processing facility, Delta 7, when everything went wrong. The security feed showed 3 unauthorized ships dropping out of hyperspace. No registry, no transponders. Raiders. James keyed his comm while bringing up the defense protocols. "Control, we've got company. 3 bogies, marked hostile." "Copy that. Private. Emergency response team is 20 minutes out." He checked the civilian manifest. 53 workers in the processing plant. The facility's shields would hold for maybe 10 minutes against concentrated fire. That's when James started humming. The station's AI picked up the tune. "Private Rodriguez, you are performing Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. Is this appropriate for the current situation?" "Can't think of a better time," he replied, fingers dancing across the defense console. "Let's give these raiders a show." The first raider ship breached the outer perimeter. James redirected power to the point defense systems, still humming. The automated turrets opened fire, their pattern matching the beat of his song. "Warning," the AI announced. "Hull breach detected in Section C. Then we better pick up the tempo." James switched to "Don't Stop Me Now" as he sealed off the compromised sections, funneling the raiders into a kill zone. The facility's security cameras captured everything. A lone defender, singing Earth classics while orchestrating a masterful defense. When the raiders breached the main corridor, They found emergency bulkheads dropping in rhythm to James's music. "Private, your behavior is causing considerable confusion among the hostiles," the AI noted. "Good," James grinned, switching to "We Will Rock You" as he activated the facility's maintenance drones. Confusion works in our favor. The footage spread across the galaxy within hours. Alien analysts watched in horror as James turned the facility's systems into instruments of defense, all while maintaining what they termed inappropriate levity. The raiders, expecting an easy target, found themselves trapped in corridors filling with riot suppression foam. Their communications revealed growing panic. "He's singing. The human is singing while he fights us. How can one defender be enjoying this? Fall back. This station is protected by a madman." When the emergency response team finally arrived, they found James in the security center, running diagnostics and humming, "We Are the Champions." The council's emergency session lasted 3 days. The footage played on repeat as species debated humanity's psychological makeup. The Arcturus representative called for planetary quarantine. The Viridians suggested mandatory psychological screening for all human military personnel. But in the bars and lounges across the galaxy, younger aliens began asking questions. How could someone remain so calm under pressure? What gave humans the ability to find joy in crisis? A week later, James received 2 messages. The first was a commendation for valor. The second was a request from the Galactic Military Academy to teach a course on human combat psychology. He accepted both, wondering what songs he should include in the curriculum. The luxury starliner Aurora drifted powerless in the void between Proxima Centauri and Earth. In its observation lounge, 200 passengers from 30 different species huddled in emergency thermal blankets, watching their oxygen levels slowly decrease. "Rescue vessel approaching," the ship's AI announced. Designation: ERS Nightingale. The Centaurian ambassador's tendrils twitched. Finally, a proper emergency response. The airlock cycled. The passengers expected a team of solemn professionals. Instead, they heard laughter. "I'm telling you, Johnson, that's not how artificial gravity works. Look, all I'm saying is that if we reverse the polarity." This isn't one of your old science fiction shows. Chief Engineer Maria Santos led her team into the observation lounge, toolkits swinging from their belts. She pulled out a deck of cards and tossed them to Johnson. "Deal me in after I check the core," she said, already heading toward the engine room. And no cheating this time. The passengers watched in stunned silence as half the rescue team settled down for a card game while the others began diagnostic procedures. The Arcturus delegates were especially disturbed by Johnson's running commentary on his poor hand. "Engineering team, this is a crisis situation," the Centaurian ambassador protested. "Sure is," Johnson agreed, laying down a straight flush. "But panic won't fix your engines any faster. Anyone want to learn poker while we wait?" In the engine room, Santos whistled an old Earth tune as she diagnosed the Aurora's quantum core malfunction. Her fingers danced across control panels while she sang about someone named Daisy. "Chief," her comm crackled, "Johnson's teaching the Viridians how to bluff. As long as he's not betting credits again," she laughed, rerouting power through auxiliary systems. "How's their poker face?" "Hard to tell with the chromatophores." The ambassadors filed a formal complaint about unprofessional behavior during crisis operations, but they couldn't argue with the results. Within 3 hours, the Aurora's engines hummed to life. The oxygen recyclers spun up. Emergency power restored. "Quantum core stabilized," Santos announced. "Johnson, tell me you didn't lose your shirt to the aliens." "Actually, Chief, I think I just created an interstellar poker circuit." As the passengers returned to their quarters, a young Viridian approached Santos. "Your team treated this like a social gathering." "Best way to handle emergencies," she replied, packing up her tools. "Keep the mind busy, hands steady, and spirits high. Works every time." The footage from the Aurora's security cameras became required viewing at the Galactic Emergency Response Academy. Instructors noted how the human team's relaxed demeanor prevented panic, their casual banter masked precise coordination, and their card game created unexpected diplomatic connections. Johnson's poker lessons became a regular event at intergalactic gatherings. Though most species still couldn't understand how humans could laugh in the face of danger, they had to admit it got results. Dr. Zora Mitchell stood before the Galactic Council, her holographic presentation showing brain scans of human soldiers in combat situations. The chamber hummed with nervous energy as representatives from 50 species watched regions of the human brain light up in unexpected patterns. Note the simultaneous activation of stress and pleasure centers. She pointed to the glowing areas. When humans joke during combat, they're not displaying madness. They're engaging in sophisticated neurological regulation. The Arcturian delegation's environmental shields flickered with doubt. You claim this behavior is beneficial. Essential, Zara corrected, switching to historical footage. Earth's military history shows consistent patterns. Units that maintain morale through humor show higher survival rates, better mission completion, and stronger team cohesion. The footage played. World War II soldiers sharing cigarettes and jokes before D-Day. Vietnam veterans using dark humor to cope with jungle warfare. Mars colonists laughing while repelling asteroid pirates. Humans developed this mechanism over thousands of years, Zora continued. We learned to transform fear into focus, tension into teamwork. Every smile in battle is a victory over our own instincts. The Viridian ambassador's colors shifted to analytical blue. Your species deliberately suppresses natural fear responses. We channel them. Fear becomes determination. Stress becomes drive. And yes, sometimes danger becomes humor. It's not suppression. It's evolution. A younger council member, a Centaurian named Vex, raised their tendrils. The implications for joint military operations are profound. Zara finished. Imagine combining Viridian tactical precision with human psychological resilience, Arcturian strategic planning with human adaptability. We're not just warriors who smile, we're warriors who've mastered our own minds. The chamber erupted in debate. Some called for deeper study of human combat psychology. Others warned of contaminating their own species' military traditions. Through it all, Zara maintained her calm demeanor, occasionally sharing knowing looks with the human diplomatic staff. Your presentation is most enlightening, the head speaker finally announced. But it raises concerns. If humans can find joy in battle. Not joy in battle, Zara interrupted. Joy in overcoming. Joy in protecting. Joy in standing with our companions against any odds. We laugh not because we love fighting, but because we refuse to let fear win. The data didn't lie. Human combat effectiveness increased proportionally with their ability to maintain psychological equilibrium. The very behavior that terrified the galaxy was what made humans exceptional warriors. As the session ended, Vex approached Zora. Your species fascinates us. Perhaps there is something to learn from the warriors who smirk. Zara smiled, causing several nearby delegates to flinch. That's the first step, Vex. Understanding that different isn't always dangerous. Commander Lai Wei stood on the bridge of the EDF Intrepid, watching the quantum anomaly tear through spacetime. 3 Arcturian vessels had already retreated. The Viridian fleet hung back, their sensors overwhelmed by readings that defied natural law. Status report, Lai called out, sipping his coffee. Anomalies growing at geometric rates, sir, Lieutenant Park responded. Also, Torres made fresh cookies in the mess. Want one? Chocolate chip. Oatmeal raisin, sir. Pass. Lai set down his cup. Deploy quantum stabilizers. Let's see if we can't give this thing something to think about. The bridge crew worked with practiced ease, their casual banter a stark contrast to the panicked communications from alien vessels. As reality itself warped around them, Ensign Torres hummed an old sea shanty while calculating stabilizer frequencies. Sir, Communications Officer Chen interrupted. The Arcturian flagship is demanding to know why we're not retreating. Their translators having trouble with the concept of winging it. Lai chuckled. Tell them it's an old Earth tradition. Sometimes you have to smile at the impossible before you can beat it. The anomaly pulsed, sending waves of distorted spacetime across the sector. The Intrepid's shields flickered but held. Remember that training exercise on Europa? Park asked, adjusting shield harmonics, when the instructor said we couldn't possibly survive a Class 3 ion storm. And we threw a party in the middle of it. Torres grinned. Good times. The alien observers couldn't comprehend it. As reality threatened to unravel, the human crew shared stories, jokes, and casual observations about quantum physics. Their readings showed elevated human heart rates, stress hormones at peak levels, yet the humans acted like they were at a social gathering. Stabilizers at full power, Park reported, ready to initiate containment sequence. Anyone want to bet on the success rate? No betting on duty, Lai smiled. Besides, we all know the house always wins. The Intrepid moved closer, its stabilizers creating a web of quantum forces around the anomaly. The crew coordinated complex calculations while discussing weekend plans and comparing coffee preferences. When the anomaly finally collapsed, sealed by human ingenuity and steadfast nerves, the alien fleets were silent. How could they process what they'd witnessed? A crew that laughed in the face of cosmic horror, that treated the impossible as just another day's work. Lai drafted his report to command while finishing his coffee. Note for the record, crew morale remained exceptional throughout the crisis. Special commendation to Ensign Torres for maintaining our tradition of stress baking during emergency situations. Though next time, please make chocolate chip. The Arcturian flagship requested permission to send observers to study human crisis response techniques. The Viridians followed suit. Even the Centaurians, traditionally resistant to human methods, admitted there might be something to learn from warriors who could smile at the void itself. The Joint Special Operations Center on Mars buzzed with activity as Sergeant Elena Rodriguez faced her unique squad. 3 humans, 2 Arcturians, and a Viridian scout. The first experimental mixed-species combat unit in galactic history. Today's mission simulation will test our combined capabilities, Elena announced. Remember, we're learning from each other. Vax, your species' stealth techniques are unmatched. Kira, your tactical precognition is invaluable. The Arcturian twins, their environmental suits gleaming, nodded in synchronization. The Viridian scout, Zix, shifted colors in acknowledgement. But first, Elena grinned. A human tradition. Unit call signs. The aliens had studied this custom with fascination. Personal nicknames, chosen through shared experiences and friendly mockery, were alien to their military doctrine. Kira, after that incident in Zero training, your tumble. Elena started. Vax, your echo, because you keep repeating your brother's moves. The Arcturians' antenna twitched in what humans had learned was amusement. They were adapting to human humor, finding unexpected freedom in it. During the simulation, something remarkable happened. As the team breached a hardened facility, Zix changed colors to match a human smirk. Watch your step, tumble. Gravity's working here. The humans froze, then burst out laughing. An alien had just made a joke. In combat. Contact front, Corporal Chen called out. As plasma fire filled the corridor, Kira, now embracing the name Tumble, coordinated with their human teammates with unprecedented synchronization. Like that training exercise on Europa, Chen quipped. Though this time, try not to fall through any ice. Zix. The Viridians' colors rippled with embarrassment, but they joined the laughter. The team moved as one, each species' strengths covering the other's weaknesses. The Arcturians provided strategic oversight, while humans added spontaneity to their rigid planning. After the simulation, Admiral Chen reviewed the footage. Remarkable. Their efficiency increased 43% when they began engaging in human-style social bonding. It's more than that, Elena reported. They're not just tolerating our methods, they're finding their own way to adapt them. Yesterday, Tumble tried to tell a joke. It was terrible, but it was progress. The experiment expanded. More mixed units formed. Alien warriors learned to channel stress through humor, while humans studied their allies' disciplined traditions. Different approaches to combat merged into something entirely new. Alina's team became the model for this evolution. Their mission success rates spoke volumes, but it was their cohesion that turned heads. The sight of different species laughing together after combat demonstrated something profound. The galaxy was changing, one smile at a time. The Interspecies Military Academy's first graduation ceremony transformed the Martian landscape into a celebration of unity. Banners from 50 worlds fluttered under the dome's artificial sky, as cadets from across the galaxy stood together. Commandant Sarah Chen, now sporting Admiral stripes, watched with pride as the graduating class assembled. 10 years had passed since her demonstration had terrified the Council. Now she observed Arcturian cadets exchanging jokes with their human squadmates, while Viridian graduates displayed their version of smiles. Distinguished guests, she began. Today marks not just a graduation, but an evolution. When I first stood before the Council, our differences seemed insurmountable. The human smile caused diplomatic incidents. Now, look around. The assembly watched as Cadet Vixta, a Viridian, stepped forward. Their chromatophores shifted in the pattern humans had come to recognize as joy. Class speaker, reporting as ordered, Vixta announced. And before I begin, I'd like to share what humans call the joke. Why do Earth Marines make the best artists? Because they're experts at drawing fire. The hall erupted in mixed reactions. Human laughter, Arcturian antenna vibrations, Centaurian tendril waves. A decade ago, such a moment would have been unthinkable. We've learned from each other, Vixta continued. Humans taught us that strength comes in many forms. Sometimes it's a battle cry, sometimes it's a laugh. Our instructors showed us that fear doesn't make us stronger, facing it together does. The ceremony proceeded with a blend of traditions. Human cadets performed the Arcturian victory chant, while their alien companions attempted Earth's military cadences. The result wasn't always harmonious, but it was genuine. Admiral Chen presented the honors. Each of you represents the future, a future where we don't just tolerate our differences, we celebrate them. Where a human smile isn't a sign of madness, but a reminder that even in darkness, we can find light. The graduating class had set records in every category. Their mixed species tactics combined human adaptability with alien precision. More importantly, they'd forged bonds that transcended biological differences. As the ceremony concluded, a young Centaurian cadet approached Chen. Admiral, I have mastered what humans call the high five. Would you demonstrate with me? Chen smiled, raising her hand. The Centaurian's tendrils met her palm in perfect synchronization. The galaxy had changed. Humanity's warriors still smiled, still laughed in the face of danger. But now, they weren't alone. A new generation of defenders had learned that courage wore many expressions, and strength came in many forms. The warriors who Smirk had become teachers, and their lessons would echo across the stars.